So qualifying underway for the first of the two races for this weekend's penultimate Blancpain GT Series Asia weekend here at Shanghai, and it's a very wet road indeed with the cars paddling their way around. We've had 2 free practice sessions yesterday. We had official practice this morning, and that was an opportunity for the teams to try and work out where the grip levels were, what the cars are going to be like in the wet. And it also meant that at the end of the session it was the number 99 Porsche you're looking at the moment of Darrell O'Young and Marvin Dienst that was the fastest. Marvin Dienst new to the championship for the purposes of this weekend, German Formula 4 champion of seasons past, and the car being driven for this first part of the double qualifying session by Darrell O'Young. So it's Darrell O'Young at the wheel a bit, and they're on an out lap at the moment, so fast laps to be put in at the end of this. Now, the best lap we had this morning in the wet was a 2 minutes 20. That's the kind of target time as ever the circuit broken down into the 3 sectors. And the Porsche working its way through the twisty middle part of this lap. The circuit, which is 5.4 kilometres in length. There's a lot to it. There are some fast bits, some technical bits, some twisty bits, some slow bits. And in the wet, it's a great leveller. The entry this weekend is another strong one. We've got 29 cars. Off the road, running wide, Rick Yoon, number 18, is back onto the circuit, but slithers off the road, so just proof of how treacherous it is out there. Even if you think you've worked out where the grip is, it can all change. The rain has been coming and going all day. We've had much heavier rain, in fact, sort of midday-ish, but now the circuit still wet isn't actually being added to in terms of falling water, so they're having to cope with what's on the line already. Darrell O'Young then, up towards us, the very experienced Hong Kong Canadian driver. Behind him, number 66. Now, that's Sandy Stuvik, the former single-seater gun. Sandy Stuvik's had a pretty decent first season in Blancpain GT racing, because that was a car that finished in 2nd place, in fact, in the 2nd race at Suzuka when he was paired with Nicolas Costa. So, in other words, it is another one to watch, that car. And goes over the timing line, a 220.4 from Darrell O'Young, a 221.3 offered up by Sandy Stuvik. And there, through turn 1, goes 66. So the Lamborghini is doing the attacking. Mitch Gilbert is currently 3rd fastest, number 86, winner of the opening round. And that all changes because as the rest come pouring over the timing line, so now Marchi Lee goes 3rd fastest, and up to 4th, a car we've not seen yet this year, the Hub Auto Racing car of Liu Yi. Another of the Porsches, a 221.7. It's looking quite good for Porsche at the moment, and it will exclusively be Porsche in GT4. There's one car that's just had a spin, in fact, coming out of the last corner and gets going again, but people's lap times briefly affected by the waved yellow flag that came out because of this rotating car, and it was Andrew Harrianto who was the spinner, but he's carried on. All the drivers being warned about having the lights on. Now, qualifying doesn't take long. It's only 15 minutes per session. David Addison trackside, and I'm two in the pits. And the driver, of course, that does session 1 starts race 1. The driver that does Q2 will start the 2nd race tomorrow. So you get a lot of track time, and Saturday is a very busy day with free practice, with qualifying and a race. And Andrew Harrianto, thinking about being busy, is one that does double duty because he also races in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. We have, for the first time this year, the Absolute Racing Bentleys joining in the group of brands that are represented within the championship. So although they're not scoring points because they're late entries now into the season, it's going to be interesting to see how those cars get on. We've got 2 cars that haven't yet gone out, one of which is 89, Ringo Chong, and there was another one that hadn't ventured out but has just done so, in fact, and has just put its first proper lap time in, number 39, a bit late on parade, of Jiangjin. So 29 cars we have, another quality entry. Talking about Bentley there, number 30 is the Bentley team absolute car of Andrew Kim and Warren Tan. And it's Andrew Kim at the wheel for this first part of qualifying. And it's currently 10th fastest, so good effort that by the experienced team, Absolute Racing. Adelie Fong drives the sister car, which is number 37. And Adelie Fong joined in the 2nd of the cars by Vitikurnen Thrupuvasak, who we saw at Buriram at the start of the season, and Ifra-Puvasak at the moment is the slowest in the session. Sandy Stuvik has just gone top then, number 66. Sandy Stuvik goes quickest. The Gripper M Mercedes in the background, Tim Sugden. Vastly experienced driver, Tim. He's raced around here a lot in Carrera Cup Asia and other categories, but was a little bit worried this morning to find that they weren't on the pace. How are they doing at the moment? Well, his car is 5th. Hunter Abbott, the championship leader, is 11th fastest. It is starting to dry out, and it's definitely getting quicker, because now Sandy Stuvik's into the 2:19. So as the conditions start to improve, the road becomes drier and faster. Still wipers on, but there's a bit less spray, look, hanging in the air than there was when we had that shot a little earlier. 91 BMW just went through the picture. Lin Yu and Nico Menzel, the drivers of that car for the weekend. But 66, Sandy Stuvik. From 86, Mitch Gilbert, with a 5th and a 2nd between them. That's the order. Nick Foster, as we saw at Fuji, going well, 3rd fastest. Darrell Young is 4th, Tim Sugden is 5th, and then 6th is Marchie Lee. Leo Yi 7th, 8th is Aidan Reid, the Australian, 9th is Rick Yoon, and 10th fastest, another newcomer, which is Will Hardeman, the American, who is joined in the Arrows Racing Porsche by Earl Bamber, double Le Mans winner, this year's Le Mans winner, of course, and 2015 winner. So it's another high-quality entry. The Blancpain GT Series Asia in its first year has, I think, surpassed all expectations. You look down the straight at 89, the GT4 Cayman, which is in the hands of Ringo Chong. Behind is the fastest car thus far, Sandy Stuvik, just to prove that Lamborghinis can be quick in other teams' hands. It was rather dominated, certainly the Saturday at Fuji, by Keiko Zolino. Well, here it's the Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Lamborghini with the pace at the moment. Sandy Stuvik will be joined, and of course the man that does Q2 is Yuki Nemoto. So it's a shuffle of drivers to a degree, but Nemoto is quick, and will be one to watch when we get to the second part of qualifying. He takes over, therefore, from Martin Kodrich, but Yuki Nemoto, the fast driver. So Mitch Gilbert up to 2nd fastest now, just on a 2:19.7. There is 86, the OD racing car, Mitch Gilbert and Aditya Patel, the young Indian driver. And who else do we have improving? Pretty much everybody at the moment. An absolute best last sector just done by number 5, Marchie Lee, who is up to 4th quickest now. The session has only got 4 3/4 minutes, though, still to run. And there is Mitch Gilbert, having worked his way through that long loop of turns 1, 2 and 3. He's back on the power, he's got traffic ahead of him. Who else is improving? Lower down the order, Viticorn Infra-Puvasak is up to 21st now. So Infra-Puvasak starting to become a bit more confident. How is GT4 doing? At the moment, the fastest there is 89. So Ringo Chong, who was a bit late on parade, is currently the quickest. There through is Darrell Young, who was fastest early on. He's now 3rd quickest. Just got himself back up ahead of both Marchie Lee and also Nick Foster in the sister car, number 88 Porsche. Mitch Gilbert now having to cope with the traffic. Sandy Stuvik, though, the fastest, 2:19.671 last time. And so there, a chance to see how the road is drying. And in the spray, big flash of the lights from Darrell Young to warn Ringo Chong of his progress. 3 more minutes still to go in this session. In fact, it's interesting, isn't it, to see the difference in speed between a GT4 and a GT3 Porsche, because even at the end of the straight, Darrell Young has only just caught up to the Hub Auto car and isn't really close enough to get past. 18 behind, that's the car of Rick Yoon, which is actually the Federal Mogul backed Audi going well here. It's 9th fastest. Rick Yoon, the banker, shares that car with Martin Rump, and it is going well. But interesting at the moment, you've got Lamborghini from Audi, from Porsche, from Audi, from Porsche, from Lamborghini. 66 then for Vincenzo Sospiri's successful team. Sandy Stuvik, how many more laps can he wring out of this? Probably only one more at the end of this, actually. Let's just see. He turns his way now up towards the end of the first sector. from that long turn 1, 2, 3 and then 4 sequence back onto the power now as the road opens up for him. So Stuvik assessing where the grip is, where he can push and how much he can push. Comes now up towards the conclusion of the session, and then that's his work done. He will start race 1, but for Q2 the car given over to the second driver, of course. Darrell Young is still pushing. He's still third fastest as well. Is he going to be an improver before the end? Can he go any quicker? Let's see. Sprints his way then as you look at number 5, Marchie Lee, towards the end of the session. Marchie Lee down towards the timing line, 4th quickest currently, ahead of Nick Foster and then Aidan Reid. They are the other 2 that might just be able to improve before the very end here. Marchie Lee in the Phoenix Run Audi Hong Kong entry. And Andrew Harrianto, after his earlier spin, has just improved as well. He's up to 15 fastest now, Andrew Harrianto. Jeffrey Lee behind him. And Vutikor in for Puvasak has just gone faster, 21st, lower down the order. Right, there's just over a minute of the session still to go. Sandy Stuvik tops the times by 58,000 from Mitch Gilbert, getting back to the sort of pace that car showed right at the very start of the season. There is the 88 Porsche, the livery for the Nick Foster car. And Nick Foster, former Formula Ford racer, Carrera Cup Australia champion, through the gloom. That didn't look quite so bad a moment ago, but now it's really murky once again. He's up behind 98 Porsche there, which is the Hardeman Bamba car. There's Nick Foster. Another great thing about this new championship is you come to a different culture, different liveries, different paint schemes, and a very spectacular car. That's almost the works livery for the LKM back car in the hands of Will Hardeman, though, who is up now towards the timing line. And Will Hardeman, number 98, will go through. Will he go any quicker, though? He's a real Porsche specialist, having raced these cars, Porsches in the States, as well as occasionally in the Porsche Super Cup. And on that last lap, Hardeman stayed 14 fastest. The flag is out then, so the session's at an end. Q1 brought to the end of its 15-minute period, and Sandy Stuvik with a 2 minutes 19.295 fastest last time. Over the timing line has just gone number 33 Porsche, which is another of those cars quite a long way down at the moment, trying to improve in the hands of Brian Lee, and 16 fastest it is. So are we going to get anybody right at the very end of Q1 to get up the order? To the timing line has just gone the number 75 Ferrari, the car of Greg Teo and David Chipton Biantoro. But that car not an improver at the very end. But Sandy Stuvik on target here for a maiden pole position. A good job done. As you look at the GT4 11 Porsche, that's the car of Terence Tsay and Tony Fong. Behind is number 30 Bentley, which is the car of Andrew Kim of the Bentley Absolute Racing Squad. And right at the very end, although we have had a few improvements lower down the order, very little right at the front that's going to shuffle the grid around particularly. So the last handful just to take the flag, and then the teams get hold of the cars. They need to do whatever work is required. They'll get some feedback now from the driver. You don't really want to do a pit stop if you can avoid it within the qualifying session itself, because at 15 minutes it just eats into the available track time, especially important today when the road is drying and getting faster all the time. But what they now do have is this downtime where they can do any work that's required. The feedback comes from driver 1, and then driver 2 can be good to go for the second part of qualifying once they've done that driver change. So we'll have the pit stops very shortly once everybody has taken the flag. You can see the pit lane is already busy. Some teams might on occasion decide to bail early from the session and come in and get the driver change done, just so they have a little bit more time, especially if they don't feel that they're going to be able to improve the time come the very end of the session. For the last few that take the flag, they have that slow in lap. Others already doing that driver change. So Sandy Stuvik, 2 minutes 19.295 tops the times, ahead of, right at the very end, in fact, number 277, Leo Yi. A very, very good time that from somebody new to the championship. He's done quite a bit of single-seater racing. Hong Li, or Leo as he prefers, Yi. He's raced in the Euro Formula Open, he's raced in Formula Renault Alps, and then in the AFR series this year, Japanese Formula 3, and an excellent job done to go second ahead of Mitch Gilbert. Fourth, number 5, Marchi Lee, ahead of then Darrell Young, Nick Foster, Aidan Reid, Alex Au, Tim Sugden, and Rick Yoon. Hunter Abbott, the championship leader, is only 11th, giving Matty Book some work to do in his stint to come the race, but now you can anticipate it might be a rather different order by the time we get through the second driver in all of these cars. So the driver change will be done, and then the teams will get ready for the second part of qualifying. We've just got the BMW coming down the pit road. You might catch a glimpse in a moment if you keep your eyes peeled in the pit lane of the FIST Team AAI car heading down the pit road. Out on track, it is drying, it is getting faster. Mercedes AMG, the new safety car supplier for this weekend, as well as being one of the brands to beat with the Gruppe M squad that Tim Sugden put together pretty much over the winter months in record time. Has brought some good people into the team, and although he's not had a race win, which seems a bit of a shame, but hopefully he will get there before the end of the season with Hunter Abbott's efforts. It's of course looking as though it could well be a driver's title for the former British Touring Car Championship racer. And this Blancpain GT Series Asia has really gone from strength to strength this season. I don't think anyone really knew quite what to expect at the start of the year, but the grids have been getting bigger and stronger all the time, and now hovering around this high 20s mark as a regular number illustrates the hard work put in and the response from the teams, some from Europe, but majority, of course, from this region, and a fascinating entry that brings drivers from all over. And although you don't see many of them in Europe, you do in this championship. Porsches down in the pit lane. New set of tyres. I don't think it's yet time to think about slicks, is it? But let's just see what the team does at Craft Bamboo Racing. It'll be Devon Modell to take over the red car, predominantly red car in the background, and number 99 this time will be given to Marvin Dienst, former German F4 champion, and very much one to watch, Marvin Dienst, because he's raced Porsches in the World Endurance Championship, the German GT Championship, but now we start to see him in Asia as well. So the fast lane will be open in 1 minute's time to allow the teams the chance to run the cars down to pit out. And as soon as possible, then the session will be underway. So that's how we are at the end of Q1. Sandy Stuvik from Leo Yi, and then Mitch Gilbert, Marchi Lee 4th, Darrell Young 5th, Nick Foster 6th, Aidan Reid, Alex Au, Tim Sugden and Rick Yoon rounding out the top 10. 11th quickest Hunter Abbott, 12th Andrew Kim, 13th fastest was number 13, which is the Milestone Racing Sun Jingzhu and Frankie Cheng Audi. Will Hardeman 14th and Andrew Harrianto 15th fastest as the fast lane is now open, and we get ready for the second part of qualifying. Same cars, different drivers though now, and it could be a very, very different order indeed. So bear in mind the way that the times were improving towards the end of Q1, and it meant that right at the very end, the fastest lap time was a 2:19.295 from Sandy Stuvik. Are we going to get into the 2:18s or better by the end of the next 15 minutes? It's not drying that quickly, but it is drying, and there's a rather roadblock-like situation at the end of the pit lane. Waiting for the race director to give the indication for the green flag and then get things underway, but everybody wanting to be first out if they can, in theory, because that means you've got clear track space. The other way of doing this is to be the last out, let everybody else go, lag back, and then you've got about half a lap's worth of clear space. The Shanghai International Circuit Speed Festival we're part of this weekend, along with Lamborghini Super Trofeo, the Chinese Formula Master Series, and local GT races as well. It's a pretty busy place, and the earlier race, we've had one already for Formula Master run in appallingly wet weather, and it was largely done behind a safety car because it was so wet, it was very hard for the drivers to keep single-seater racing cars on the road. For the GT brigade, it's a lot better. You can see how the road is still damp, but it's a lot better than it was, and gradually the conditions improving. The skies are still very, very grey, but there's no more rain imminent, I don't think, at least not in the short term. The last few cars start to join the line at the back, and this 15-minute session then to get underway shortly with the Audis at the end of the pit lane good to run. When the race director gives the indication, there'll be this scramble down the pit road. But you kind of wonder really, if you're not going to be at the very front of the queue, what the point is of sitting in the traffic, because you're only going to get caught up in that once the session gets underway. So the GT4 cars in the line. No McLaren this weekend in GT4, although it did the double in Fuji, won both races. It's not here this weekend, the Clearwater Racing 570S, which means that we're back to the domination of the Porsche Cayman GT4 Club Sport. And therefore it'll be interesting to see which of the very evenly matched Porsches comes out on top over the course of the 2 1-hour races that we have. 17 is good to go. That being the Taiwan Top Speed Racing Team car of Kyo Chang and Jeff Liu. And it will be Jeff Liu for the second part of qualifying then behind the wheel of that car. Great looking cars, the Caymans. And the Top Speed team very busy in this part of the world with a variety of cars in different championships. We've got just under a minute to go before the second session underway. Standalone session, standalone grid. The times that we've had already are only really of academic interest when you get to this point. And are we, as I say, going to be able to get less than a 2:19? Let's see as the session gets ready to run. Last few seconds just tick down on the clock. Is it going to be another impressive session for Lamborghini, or is it going to be a different brand on top this time through? We'll find out very shortly as the last few seconds tick away before the green flag is shown. The green light will go on, and then we will be in business. Mathematically, in tomorrow's second race, as the green lights go on and the session is live, Hunter Abbott could take the championship. Can't do it today, so we'll worry about all the different permutations overnight. But a remarkable season Hunter Abbott has had. His car is now given over to Maximilian Buch, and first out is Alessio Picariello. Next through Mitch Gilbert's car, now in the hands of Aditya Patel. And everybody else breaks the timing beam as they go pouring out on track. Then you've got the Ferrari of Max Weiser in there. You've got the Mercedes, Joachim Kowiak taking over from Tim Sugden for this session. And the car that Jeffrey Lee drove in Q1, now in the hands of Alessio Picariello, then number 7. 86 though, Aditya Patel wants another victory this year. They came close in Suzuka. Joachim Kowiak almost getting caught up there behind the Ferrari of Max Weiser as they go pouring out. And again, it's all part of early on trying to get yourself in the clear air. You don't want all this traffic around. Let it go or get through it. But there's no point just driving around for 15 minutes with cars around you getting in the way. So you can understand why Aditya Patel was keen to get out first, but he's now got running behind him the number 18 Martin Rump Audi, now alongside him and now past him. So as though it was a battle for race position. Alessio Picariello is behind, look, so the 3 Audis all trying to get themselves into the clear real estate, and Aditya Patel is sideways, comes out of the corner, back wags, but he hangs on to it. But absolutely at the moment, you've got Martin Rump on a mission in number 18, determined to get himself in the clear track space. 66 there, which is now in the hands of Yuki Nomoto. That was the car that Sandy Stuvik put onto pole position in the first qualifying session. So down this long straight, a chance for the drivers now to get some warmth into the tyres as they come out of turn 13. Down towards 14, right-hander, kink at 15, short straight up towards the last left. As they work their way through this next sequence of corners, then you've got the car in the hands of Martin Rump, going to be the first one over the timing line. There it is, to start a flying lap. So through comes number 18, Martin Rump. Behind him is Alessio Picariello. Aditya Patel, another one that was looking keen early on. I think has dropped back in the pack a little bit behind Jules Szymkowiak, but it's not so much track position that matters, it's the times at the end of this lap. But there Martin Rump has put himself in a good position by dint of having nobody around him as he comes now through turns 2 and 3. That's turn 3, and then the next element to it there, that next curve, that's turn 4. Road opens up. There's a little kink at the top here, up to the right-hander, and then downhill, hard on the brakes for here, turn 6 at the top of the lap. It's another tight corner, but then it opens up as you turn out of it. Short straight, turn 7, and then the next bit starts to flow a little bit more from the tight hairpins. You've got 7, which is a left, takes you right through turn 8, here it is. And then turns 9 and 10, a bit more stop-start, as you'll get to in a moment. So round turn 8, and that is the left-hander at 9. Into the very, very short straight towards turn 10, which is there. And now the run towards turns 11 and 12. Similar concept, this next part, to turns 1 and 2. In other words, it's a long, snail-like coil through the corner. So into the tight turn 11 goes Martin Rump, who has been bested in the first sector by the man behind him, Alessio Picariello. Now through turn 12, out of 13, and then a long, long straight that brings them back down towards the end of the lap. It's also got that little bit of banking on the exit of the corner, so you ride out wide, then drop down off that camber. Speed building all the while at this point, down towards turn 14. Wiper on. Martin Rump is ahead of Alessio Picariello. Behind is Jules Szymkowiak, who's coming under attack for his track position from Aditya Patel. Down now through 14, the kink at 15, and then the left-hander at 16. They will come up towards the end of the lap. So Martin Rump, I fear, looking at the sector times, is going to lose out here to Picariello at the end of the lap. There is the Audi Taiwan car that comes through. So you don't get that many flying laps in, and the first of them is going to be set by Martin Rump at, what does he do? 2:18.646. Picariello, in fact, slightly slower. 2:18.661. Szymkowiak whilst third, but Aditya Patel goes third fastest ahead of him. 2:19.9 for Patel at 2:20.7 for Szymkowiak. So we are quicker already than we were at any point in Q1. Proof that the road is drying out all the time. I wonder whether we get to the race, whether anyone's going to gamble on slick tyres, because it is certainly drying. There'll be the Lamborghini race before we get to that, so it's potentially going to give the drivers a chance for a drier road, depending on what else falls before the very end. So there's Jules Szymkowiak. Marvin Dienst, incidentally, has gone third in the Porsche. Looking at Aditya Patel, who was third quickest, but not anymore. Number 86, that car run by the OD Racing team for Aditya Patel and the Malaysian-born Australian Mitch Gilbert. But Jules Szymkowiak absolutely trying now, isn't he? He was one of the stars of the European Blancpain scene last year. Worked very, very strongly. Perhaps we've not quite seen the best of him this year. All the attention, all the results seem to have gone the way of the number 999 Gripper M Mercedes, but Szymkowiak is still a very, very hard charger. And let's see what he can do at the moment. Third row of the grid, fifth fastest, but he should be a bit higher up than that by the end, assuming that they've got the grip in that car. It was a lack of grip that was the real concern in the practice session this morning. So there you've got Jules Szymkowiak, 888, fifth fastest. Ahead of him up the road, Martin Rump, who is the fastest. And then Alessio Picariello behind number 7. He has done the absolute best within the first sector. So number 7 Audi could be, should be an improver this time. There was only 15 thousandths between them at the end of the previous lap anyway. It's going to be very, very tight indeed this lap. But it could well be Picariello that goes quickest. Number 99 Porsche there. Marvin Dienst is another one to look for. Dienst third fastest at the end of his first flying lap. So let's see in Daryl O'Young's car what Marvin Dienst can do this time around. He accelerates now up towards turn 16. Over the timing line, Picariello goes top. He's done a 2:18.552. Laps are getting faster and faster all the time. It's Picariello from Rump. Marvin Dienst comes through now. Sector's not suggesting he's going to improve, and he didn't. What about Aditya Patel behind him? No improvement in Northern Shimkoviak either, strangely. Devon Modell, though, briefly 5th fastest, and Sean Tong 6th. So there, Devon Modell, 88, up to 5th fastest, but then it changes again because, who else do we get? Number 13, Frankie Cheng, goes up to 4th, and Earl Bamber goes 6th fastest, the Le Mans winner in number 98, into the top 6. So there's Devon Modell, ultra smart car. Is it going to hang on in there in the leading order? Is the rain starting to fall again? Just looking into the Marshall's post opposite the commentary booth here, and they're starting to shelter again. Might be because there's lots of spray hanging in the air. Now, the other one to watch at the moment is number 6, Alex Young, because he's done the absolute best of anybody in Sector 1. Flashing his lights there is Devon Modell. But lower down, 11th fastest, Alex Young in the first sector, quicker than anybody. In the middle sector, a personal best. So number 6 Audi could well be on for a good improvement here. That's the sister car, number 5, of Sean Tong, the Hong Kong driver. He's done quite a bit of racing in Europe as well as in Asia. But the Malaysian Alex Young, ex-Minardi Grand Prix racer, and we've got 6 minutes of the session to go, could be on for an improvement here as Tong gets a little bit sideways. He's 8th fastest, but still pushing hard nonetheless. In the background there, number 13 is Frankie Cheng, who's going strongly 4th fastest in the Absolute Racing Audi. Of course, there's Absolute running Bentleys, there's Absolute running these Audis as well. But Frankie Cheng, or Cheng Kong Fu, to give him his Eastern name, is 4th quickest. Alex Young went 5th. He did improve in the other sectors, but not enough to put himself right at the very top. So it's Alessio Picariello, who has had a good run of qualifying results of late, on target for another pole, seemingly. He goes over the timing line. That lap is a 2:19.7, a little bit down on what he was doing earlier. So it's Picariello from Rump, Dienst, Cheng, Young, Patel, Bamber, Modell, Tong, Shimkoviak. That's the top 10. It changes because Aditya Patel goes up to 5th. You're looking at 77 in GT4, which is now Jean-Marc Merlin, who is the fastest. So this is the GT4 pole car, the Cayman, run by the Craft Bamboo Racing Team. Jean-Marc Merlin, the Frenchman, based in Singapore. Experienced driver who came out of historics into modern sports car racing. And Jean-Marc has raced in Carrera Cup. He raced in the 24 Hours at Le Mans for a couple of years and has had the occasional spell in Blancpain Endurance. Loses out to number 20 Bentley there, which is Adderley Fong. I thought for a moment was going to go straight on there because he arrived very, very deep into the corner. Adderley Fong, former British Formula 3 Championship racer, and making his Blancpain GT Series Asia debut with the Bentley here. Raced the cars in the Chinese Championship and in GT Asia. He was 2nd 2 years ago, 3rd last year, in fact, in GT Asia. Adderley Fong, born in Canada, goes over the line, goes into the top 10, Adderley Fong then, so good effort. 4 more minutes still to run as you look at the pole car of Alessio Picariello. Being out first clearly worked. He got himself through the traffic. And the next improver in sectors, again, is Alex Young. He is better than anybody in Sector 1. That's really where he's got the pace. He just seems to lose out over the rest of the lap, strangely. But Alex Young going strongly. Good mix of GT3 and GT4 car here. GT3 Audi up to put a pass on Jean-Marc Merlin, who, no, not Jean-Marc Merlin, apologies, number 17 that is, isn't it? Which means it is now Jeff Liu, newcomer to Blancpain this weekend, and very, very late on the brakes and off the road at the hairpin goes Picariello. So committed was he to getting through the traffic. He outbraked himself, runs up the escape road. So, but that will be a bad one. Up to 2nd in the meantime has gone Alex Young. So the cars then head their way now up towards the timing line. And Alex Young has gone 2nd. Fastest is Alessio Picariello, who got away with that scare. He goes over the timing line now, but Martin Rump behind him was trying to get through the traffic and improve his lap time. Did he do so on that lap? Not quite. So Martin Rump is still 3rd fastest. Alex Young between the two of them is looking very Audi dominated at the moment at the top of the order here. An improvement from Sean Tong up to 7th fastest now, number 5. And that changes, because as soon as he's done that, Earl Bamber comes across the line next, adapting from LMP1 hybrid technology to GT3 brute force, and goes 7th fastest. Porsche factory driver, of course, so he gets slotted into cars, different weekends, different championships. And straight on at the end of the back straight goes number 19 Audi there, which is Takuya Shirasaka, outbraking himself. Bentley number 30, which is currently 18th fastest, has wear on tan at the wheel of it. I mean, decided to switch across to this car, wear on tan, who's raced in the German Formula 3 Cup. He's raced briefly in FIA Formula 3 and in the States in Pro Mazda, but now switching to GT racing. We've got, what, just under 2 minutes to go. Tim Bridgman, another welcome returnee to racing. We've not seen very much of the Brit for a while. He's just gone 14th in number 277 Porsche, ahead of Alberto Di Folco's Lamborghini. So things are still shuffling all the way through the session here. Over the timing line goes Alex Young once more. Is that going to be an improvement? It's a 2:18.6. He's down by just under a tenth of a second from what he was doing earlier on. Dives up the inside of the traffic there, going towards turn 1. There's one Audi in the pit lane. Shirasaka, after his moment, he's come into the pit lane. I just wonder, therefore, whether it could have been a brake issue that put him off rather than driver error if he's pitted straight away. There you've got Alex Young through. So it's Picariello from Young, the top two. Rump third, Cheng fourth, Dingst is fifth, Patel sixth. 7th now is Earl Bamber, 8th Sean Tong, 9th Devon Modell, 10th Adley Fong. Nico Menzel in the BMW 20th at the moment. It could be one to watch when he's had a bit more track time potentially, but the BMW is always flattered to deceive a little bit. It's a good quick car, but something's not quite clicked as yet in the Blancpain GT Series Asia races. And of course one of the other things is that almost every time we see the cars, they've got different drivers in them, so the continuity's not really been there for people to learn and develop. Nico Menzel shares, I think I'm right in saying it's the sole car this weekend that the team has brought with Lin Yu. So the flag is imminent. Now in the background, look, there's a car that's been off the road. That's just rejoining, or about to. And it's one of the Lamborghinis, I fear, that's been off the road. Let's just quickly check off who it is. It's the number 2 Lamborghini, which means that it is Lin Yu who was off. Right, the flag is out. Session's at an end. Alessio Picariello is the fastest, 2 minutes 18.552. The rest of the cars come storming over the line. Again, the Shanghai circuit is one of those places. There are many of them where the start line and the finish line are in different places. And so you've got the shorter run out of the last corner up to the timing line. Start line midway down the pit straight. So Picariello can't see being beaten now. In fact, the majority of the quick sectors have all disappeared. Very few people improving. Although we have just had one improvement, and that was from David Chiptop Biantoro, who's gone 19th at the very end and is fastest in the AM Cup. Second in the AM Cup is the number 2 Lamborghini, which is Zhu Zhonghan and Lin Yu. GT4 pole, Jean-Marc Merlin, as was kind of always expected, really, given his experience and also given the success that they've had this year, because there have been 3 class wins for Merlin and Yu this season. Right, so there is number 7, Alessio Picariello, who comes into the pit lane rapidly, suggesting they might try and do a practice pit stop here. So why not, at the end of the session, take that opportunity to practice the stop if you feel it's a good idea. Except the officials are going to have other ideas, aren't they? Because they want him into Parc Fermé. Nice try, but the car gets waved in. And so into Parc Fermé goes Alessio Picariello. And he will therefore end as the pole sitter, 47 thousandths ahead of everybody else. But a very, very narrow margin. It's the top 7 covered by a second. Picariello from Young, and then Martin Rump third. 4th is Frankie Cheng ahead of Marvin Dienst and then Aditya Patel. 7th Sean Tong from Earl Bamber, Devon Modell and Adley Fong 10th. Then Yuki Nemoto in the car that was quickest in Q1. Jules Szymkowiak and Maxi Buk, only 12 from 13 ahead of Max Weiser, Tim Bridgman, Alberto Di Falco, Weron Tan, Yasuoka Chivtompiantoro and Lin to round out the top 20. Nico Menzel 21st from Andrew Harrianto and then Kenneth Lim. Shirosaka is rounding out GT3 ahead of the GT4 contingent. Jean-Marc Merlin on pole, ahead then of number 10, which is the car of Eric Lowe. Then you've got Tony Fong from James Wong, and it is Jeff Liu completing the 29. So 1600, we will be back with race 1 of the weekend in the Blancpain GT Series Asia. An excellent qualifying session we've had. A pole for Sandy Stubik, a pole for Alessio Picariello for tomorrow's race. And let's see first of all what track conditions are going to be like later on in the day for what promises to be an excellent first race this afternoon at 4 o'clock local time for the Blancpain GT Series Asia.